Let's do the thing, shall we?
Let's do the thing.
307, the best snap I've had all night, which is
go.
like all week for the channel. 307 reacts. I am Matt. That is Chris. You guys are the best audience in the world, and I don't care what any other YouTube channel says about you. You can go ask those other YouTube. They'll be like, yeah, that 307 reacts crowd though. I don't know about them. But then you come back here and it's like, nah, dude, we got you. We got your back. We'll go to bat for you. I don't know what other channels those are. I'm not sure. I don't even think those exist. However, on the screen in front of us we have Craig Morgan and Jelly Roll, and the song is called Almost Home. This is the studio video.
Yes.
So I'm guessing this is just a video that they put out. Now, Chris did say that we may run into some issues, maybe a copyright or something with this one.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see. Mostly because, well, Jelly Roll's like big time now, right?
Yeah,
like
Jelly Roll's big time. Now, here's the thing with Jelly Roll. We never get a block on Jelly Roll.
We get copyrights, yeah.
Either we get copyrights or a sharing, which is fine. We'll take that all day.
All day.
Now, Craig Morgan has been signed by Warner Nashville, Universal. I mean, he's been around for a long time, guys. And you guys know Craig Morgan is a classic when it comes to country music. I mean, you could turn on the country station here in town and you're going to hear him at least once throughout the day.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah,
okay.
He's big time.
He's like an AC/DC of country music, kind of.
Just
as far as the radio play goes.
Yeah. Like, he gets a lot of radio play.
Yeah.
This is on his channel. I checked licensing, and the only thing it says is released by Craig Morgan. It doesn't have a distributor. It doesn't have a label attached to it. So we should be okay, but we'll find out.
We have been surprised in the past.
So to give you some context, do you remember we watched a video of Jelly Roll playing in the Grand Ole Opry? And he talks about watching Craig Morgan perform on stage after he got out of prison. He pointed to the seat he was in.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
that was the same one. Didn't he give him the guitar in that one also?
Yeah, Craig Morgan gave him a guitar and then, like, a plaque and stuff later.
Yep,
and, like, yeah, so ever since then, they've become really good friends.
For whatever reason, my brain remembers that as being Morgan Wallen, but that's only because I don't know these country guys, and so Craig Morgan and Morgan Wallen, and it's country music, and so my brain's just making connections. So Craig Morgan was the dude gave him the guitar at the end of the thing. Okay, gotcha. All right.
And like Craig Morgan was really a turning point for Jelly Roll. Watching him, Jelly Roll just got out of prison. He went to go see this show. It's Craig Morgan, one of his favorite musicians growing up, and he watched this guy and then just cried because he's like, I want to be on that stage one day, and like I'm gonna make this happen. And years later, he's there. Craig Morgan watches Jelly Roll perform, and Jelly Roll talks to him and recounts this story. And Craig Morgan's crying, Jelly Roll's crying, like everybody's crying.
That was a good video.
It was a great video. Yeah. So. Him and Craig Morgan have been talking, and they've been friends for a while. Craig Morgan just came out with an EP. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet. In fact, I haven't listened to any of it, but I saved it on my Spotify. He came out with an EP of all of his classics. He re-recorded all of his classics, and he did them with not only just friends in the industry, but friends who he's had an impact on or somebody's had an impact on him.
Okay.
And he talks about he invited Jelly Roll because Jelly Roll moved him in such a way that he hasn't, like, he's like, I've worked with a lot of musicians and they say that I've changed their lives. He goes, but watching Jelly Roll tell the story really, really moved me.
Cool.
And he goes, that's why he's on this track. He talks about Luke Combs is on one of the tracks with him, which I have my opinions about Luke Combs, but like whatever. But he talks about, Luke Combs was always talked about, I was looking for somebody for advice and blah, 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 and you were the only one that would, like, help me, and you told me everything's going to be fine, and, like...
Okay, cool.
So he has a whole bunch of people that he's recreating these with, and they all have a special thing with the particular song that they record with. This was one of those that Jelly Roll listened to over and over again in prison, Almost Home.
Okay.
And he's like, I got a little while to go. I'm just almost home.
Okay.
So Craig Morgan chose Jelly Roll to come and sing this with him, which I think is fantastic.
I got you. Okay, so was this a Craig Morgan song prior to this, and now he's just redoing it with Jelly Roll?
Yep.
I got you. Yep. Cool, great, excellent. Well, thank you for that perfect description.
Yeah.
I don't really know anything about this kind of stuff, and so that's why we go to Chris
punk
for all
rock
that.
kid. Doesn't listen to country.
Yo,
okay?
next time we can get one of the major labels for punk rock on the screen, we will. Yeah. But unfortunately, all my favorites are blocked out by a bunch of labels and red tape, and we can't access a bunch of that stuff without getting blocked. So at some point, maybe we will, but not right now. For now, we'll just stick with this stuff. I'm excited to see. So let's get right into this. Hit that subscribe button. That's all we're asking for this year. It's free for you. It can change our lives forever. More information in the description below that.
Yes.
Let's just go.
He had plastic bags wrapped around his shoes. He was covered with the evening news. Had a pair of old wool socks on his hands.
We've done reactions to this song, or a version of it, maybe.
I think they...
Who did it?
So Jelly Roll sang this song with Craig Morgan at the Grand Ole Opry.
So that's why I recognize it. Okay, in that video, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Okay, just had to clarify the paper around the shoes. I was like,
sounds familiar.
I know this song. Yeah, all right.
On his hands, bank sign was flashing 5 below. It was freezing rain and spitting snow. He was curled up behind some garbage cans. I was afraid that he was dead. I gave him a gentle shake.
I'm sorry to pause this again. Listen, we're gonna get through this song, I promise. But watch Craig Morgan sing out the side of his mouth. And I've talked about this with Home Free. We did the very first reaction we ever did to Home Free was the Man of Constant Sorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, and there's certain sections in there where Austin sings out the side of his mouth, and I talked about that the reason they do that is to make the vowels sound a particular way, because E's come across really sharp, right? Well, you don't want an E in country music, but you don't necessarily want an E either. That sounds too classical. So if you throw it out the side of your mouth, E, you kind of get a mix of the both and a little twang and a dip on it, and it's a lot of old country. You'll watch them sing, and they'll sing certain vowels out the side of their mouth to get that twang and that dip to follow typically the dobro or the steel guitar. And if you watch him sing this, you'll see him do that.
He's also got very good vocal mic etiquette.
Yes.
He's got very good etiquette. When he does the louder, more accented side mouth notes, he pulls off the mic a little bit and then immediately comes right back for the soft part right after.
Yeah.
You can tell he's
very well seasoned.
He's been around, yeah.
Yeah.
Snow, he was curled up behind some garbage cans.
This is a good example here.
I was afraid that he was dead. I gave him a gentle shake. When he opened up his eyes, I said, "Oh man, are you okay?" What'd he say, Jelly? I just climbed out of a cottonwood tree, and I was running from some honeybee. Drip drying in the summer breeze. After jumping into Calico Creek, I was walking down an old dirt road, past a field of hay that had just been mowed. Man, I wish you just left me alone, 'cause I was almost home.
The harmonies are awesome, man. The harmonies are awesome.
Chill. He said, I was just coming round the barn about the time you grabbed my arm, when I heard Mama holler, son, hurry up. I was close enough from my old nose to smell fresh cobbler on the stove, and I saw Daddy loading up the truck. Cane poles on the tailgate, bobbers blowing in the wind. Since July of '55, that's as close as I've been. Yeah.
I want to say, I know we're just about to get back into the chorus again, but we've talked about Craig Morgan doing the singing out the side of his mouth, and Jelly Roll doesn't really do that. So you would ask the question, why does this work so well together? And it works so well together because, number one, they don't sound like each other, okay? So that's what makes the harmony so great. But the other thing, too, is Craig Morgan is singing more out the front of his face, and, like, some of that old country is more nasally. It's out of their nose.
Oh, 100%.
And when you hit that vowel on the side like that, it alleviates some of that. Jelly Roll doesn't sing that way. Jelly Roll sings very much in the back of his throat. There's a lot of grit there. Everything's a little more open. Like, there's not this nasal, like this high, not high pitch, but a very sharp sound that needs to be alleviated with a little bit of side mouth. He sings very back here, and everything's all nice and pronounced and everything. Yeah. And the mix of those two together gives you a full face of volume. And I'll say that because we talked about Craig Morgan singing out the front and Jelly Roll singing out the back, so you get a full face of volume is what that would be called.
Talk to any seasoned choir teacher or any seasoned vocal teacher will tell you, like, you can, for whatever reason, you sing out of your face. That's like a big thing in vocal training and singing lessons, is like singing out of the front of your face. Yeah, it sounds weird if you don't know any of the techniques or whatever, but once you start to learn techniques about, like you said,
and you could feel
where to place your voice and how to use the different openings, and how to project your air differently, it does make sense.
Big difference.
Just sounds weird when the first time you hear your vocal teacher go, just sing more out of your face, like right out of the front of your face, and you're like, what?
I remember G telling me one time, he goes, I want you to push that note through the front of your nose. I want a laser beam right out the front of your face. And by the way, speaking about G, you guys have asked for us to have him on the channel eventually. I contacted him. He replied and said probably sometime in January. So cool. We'll kind of look to see. But yeah, he's one of those guys that would use that. Okay, basses are going to be singing back here. Sopranos, I want you up front. I want a full face of volume.
All the way up at the top of your head. Out of the top of your head, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's what makes these two work so well together, is you get a full face.
And just super talented, like super technical musicians too. Like they're very, very good at what they do.
Very good.
Cane poles on the tailgate, bobbers blowing in the wind. Since July of 55, that's as close as I've been.
Grit.
Yeah, just climbed out of a cottonwood tree. I was running from some honeybees, drip drying in the summer breeze. After jumping into Calico Creek, I was walking down an old dirt road, past a field of hay that had just been mowed. Man, I wish you just left me alone, 'cause I was almost home. I said, old man, you're gonna freeze to death, let me drive you to the mission. He said, boy, if you left me alone, right now I'd be fishing. I just climbed out of a cottonwood tree. I was running from some honeybees, drip drying in the summer breeze. After jumping into Calico Creek, I was walking down an old dirt road, past a field of hay that had just been mowed. Man, I wish you just left me alone, 'cause I was almost home. I was almost home.
Wow. I would like to pause it and go back and hit some of that last bit again. watching Chris Lipe, and we've had him on the channel before, he talks about getting into a character. And when he's analyzed Freddie Mercury in the past, he's talked about how Freddie Mercury doesn't necessarily, I mean, sure, he'll play the character, but what develops his character in his music is the fact that every word, every line that is sung has its own dynamic. It has its own little journey that word takes.
Yeah.
And every word in a whole line in a song, if you pay that much attention to it, it comes across and the singer gets kind of lost in the individual words. And Craig Morgan definitely has that Freddie Mercury approach. You can watch him get lost in every word that he sings. You can see his body language move with every note through the word. Jelly Roll, his approach is very much the same kind of approach I take to singing, where I put myself in the scenario of the song. You can see him kind of close his eyes and picture himself on that old dirt road and how he would sing about this. Mm-hmm. How do I create this sound that brings this description into an actual image in your mind? And so seeing those two different approaches, if anything I said makes sense, okay, it may not, I get it. But watching them both take their different approaches to getting into the character of this song is really interesting to see. And like, everybody can have a different approach to it and still come together and collaborate, and it comes out amazing. So let's rewatch a little bit of the last of this.
Yeah.
Watch Craig Morgan. I mean, literally.
I think I went back far enough. I gave 30 seconds.
I mean, literally in every word. And Jelly Roll's in the scene as a whole.
Let's go.
'Cause I was almost home. I was almost home. And I wish you just left me alone. 'Cause I was almost home.
I wasn't quite far enough.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to play it all the way out.
That was
to the
representation.
end.
Yeah, that was.
But I want to go like, here's a great example.
He said, boy, if you left me alone, right now I'd be fishing. I just climbed out of a cottonwood tree.
Might even be
in the
before this one, but yeah, he's.
Yeah.
I was running from some honeybees.
He's in every word.
Drip drying in the summer breeze. After jumping into Calico Creek.
Yeah, so anyway, we can end the video there, but I think it's really interesting to watch how people get into their character. And I think these guys did a great example of showing that.
100%, yeah. Did they rework the entire song? Is this a full re-recording? Or is this sound like the original backing track to you? Because I'm just asking because I don't actually know.
Here's the thing. I haven't heard the original backing track in so long that I couldn't tell you for sure.
Okay.
It definitely sounds the same.
Okay.
However, that old backing track was probably recorded on tape.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it was reel to reel.
So
yeah, I'm sure it was.
I'd imagine that they hired some studio musicians to come in and, hey, retrack bass guitar.
Just track it real quick. Yeah.
Track it real quick and be done.
The thing that blows my mind, I just asked because I wasn't sure. They've showed shots of the control room, obviously, with the board and all the analog gear and everything.
Gosh.
And for anyone out there that is still with us and doesn't know, just really quick, on those big boards that you see that are in these major professional rooms, right? So when you hear somebody say, I've got a 48-channel board, every one of those little push faders, those little slidey fader things, every one of those is a channel. And that channel, above the slidey fader thing, there is like a bunch of knobs that run up to the top of the board, basically. And they control your low end, your high end, your mids. It's an equalizer for that one single thing. And on the back of that board, behind that one single fader and all those lines, is an input and an output with a quarter-inch, not these ones, but like a guitar cable, basically, that has an insert, essentially, where you can run a piece of gear into that channel so like an extra piece of gear, you run a cable to it and then run another cable back to the board, and you can insert that extra piece of gear onto that channel. So like when they're adding reverb and stuff into this, the reverb isn't on the board. It's not like a knob they can just push on the board. They have to get it from a different box somewhere else in the room and draw it back into that channel and add all the stuff. So on those big boards, the back of them literally looks like a operator
looks like
switchboard.
A spaghetti factory,
It's
bro.
just a bunch of quarter-inch ins and outs, and they're all just taken up. And a lot of times on the side of the board, you see this big thing. They call it a patch bay, where it's pretty much just a bunch of those little things, and they've got a ton of wires coming out of them all over the place.
Yeah.
That patch bay is routed to all the external gear that's around the studio, so that when they need to add something, they can go over to the channel, turn the thing on, bring it back, send it into the channel that they need to, and then dial in the effect on the little one of those little knobs.
And the reason they have them so big is they don't want to have to reset it up for everything. So they have, okay, here's channel, let's say 17, okay?
Yeah, sure.
17 is snare drum. 18 is a bass drum.
Yep.
And then this is cymbal 1, cymbal 2, cymbal 3, cymbal 4, vocals 1, vocal 2, vocal 3, vocal 4.
Yep.
Then guitar 1, guitar 2, guitar 3, bass guitar 1.
And they have everything set up on specific channels because the vocal channel is connected to that compressor over there, and that compressor is the one we want to use on our vocals. So every time we run a vocal mic, we have to make sure it goes into this channel right here because it's connected to that compressor, and we can use the compressor live and do the thing in the... Analog recording is wild.
It is.
And if you ever get the chance, because I know a lot of people, you never see the backs of things, right?
No.
You never see the back of the board. And it legitimately is just a giant mixer. It's an enormous mixer. And some of them have compressors built into the boards and stuff, where that's where you get the little meters and stuff at the top going off. But for the most part, it's just a humongous equalizing mixer board that is routed to every other thing in the studio and connected to the computer.
Up once, and that's it.
And most of the time, it's like, now pretty much you just worry about routing the cables and wait for the cable to go bad, which quarter-inch cables are surprisingly resilient when they never move and only do one thing their whole life. Surprisingly resilient. So it's pretty wild. But every time we get into one of these studio videos, I'm always just super enthralled. I've been in it a couple times, and it's just, it's mind-blowing.
By the way, shouts out to Amplified Wax, Mr. Jimmy Hill up in Spokane, Washington. He has one of the cleanest setups I have ever seen.
It is. That's why I have such mad respect for like a clean studio space where like they actually care for their cable management, because dude, it gets unbelievable.
It is a tedious amount
dude, it's
of work
unbelievable
to hide that much.
Oh, dude, and these guys that like run cabling through the flooring and shit, which is I think what he does.
Go through walls and through the ceiling. He has mics that hang from the ceiling in a different room.
That's a full rebuild. That's a tear the drywall down and rewire the entire room, dude, and then add these microphone patch bays into the wall, and then wire the microphone patch bays in and hope to God one of those cables doesn't go bad after you've redone the wall, and now you got to cut a hole in the wall to get a cable out and redo. Dude,
it's crazy, man.
Wild. So I have mad respect for the full-on studio aspect thing. Anybody that's watched our channel for a while knows that. But it's always amazing. It never doesn't amaze me to see how they do the thing. You know, how the big boys do the thing. It's unbelievable. You can achieve the same sounds in a setting like this. It's just the experience that you can get. And honestly, there's something about the circuitry that goes along with that just makes it things. I don't know.
There is something about...
There's a noise floor that just exists in a studio that just makes it different.
Walking into Amplified Wax, you walk into... Now, he might have moved locations since I've been there.
Yeah, could have been, yeah.
There's this building, and it looks like this big... what is it, adobe? Is that what that's called? That kind of brown
adobo? Is that what it is? I don't know, yeah.
Anyway... You walk up to it, and it has no windows from what you can see. It has a window on the side, but there's a tree growing in front of it, so like whatever. But you walk up to this building, you're like, this is the studio?
This is it?
Like, okay. Then you walk in, and there's a kitchen. You walk into the kitchen. You're like, okay, well, it's got a Keurig over here, and it says fridge, musicians, welcome to water in the fridge or whatever. And then, it has all, vocalist tea, and then he has his whole tea display or whatever. And you walk in, you can either go to the left, which takes you to like just a hangout area, and then there's a set of stairs that go up top. Or you can continue to take that left and walk into the actual recording room, the separate room.
Oh, the live room.
Yeah. Now, if you go through the kitchen, make a slight right, and just go through the rest of the kitchen, and then make a left, you end up in the control room. And walking through what seems like somebody's house, then into a control room. Dude, it's like you walked into a castle. There's this guy sitting there in this chair, Mr. Jimmy Hill, and behind him just
everything.
Massive pieces of equipment, and the lighting is perfect. The paint looks amazing. The foam is exactly where it needs to be.
Dude.
He's got, the desk is clean. He's got his thing with his keyboard. He's got a piano over here. He's got, and it's just... you walk into this area and you
feel inspired
like,
immediately.
I instantly want to shit my pants.
You're like,
Scared
this is the big time. Like, this is the big time.
Yeah.
This is some serious shit. We're not just walking in and just recording the shit in the garage. Like, this is happening. Yep.
Yeah. It's awe-inspiring and utterly terrifying at the same time.
Especially when there's someone behind the board who's got some credentials behind him too. Like, same thing walking into the studio in Maryland with the dude that recorded Thrice. It's like, this is the room. This is the place. This is the studio. It's on. And you better fucking show up. Yeah, because you get 2 weeks to do this and you got to fly home. So
I walk in and I see Jimmy Hill recorded with Escape the Fate, and he has a snare drum head signed by the guys on his wall. Then he's got 2 platinum records because he, recorded Zed, mixed and mastered Zed. Clarity by Zed.
All of them, dude. All like anytime you walk into a studio and there's the gold records, you're just like, this is.
I am way out of my element.
This is about to be real. This is about to be, our fucking producer, dude. He's like, that's part of the reason I liked him. He had his fucking platinum album from Thrice. I can't remember which one it was, but he had the fucking platinum album just like in a chair in the corner of his studio. He like wasn't hung up, but it was just like sitting in.
Just hanging
had
out.
Had a couple of other ones with him too. Just kind of like stacked against each other, and it was just like, damn, bro. What a crazy life to live. Those are just my platinums. I just I don't have a place to put them, so just kind of go there.
Hang out there.
What, dude? Like the people with multiple YouTube plaques. Like I don't know what to do. They just kind of stack up on the thing. Like, whoa, okay, all right.
Shit's wild, man.
Anyways, that was a long digression. I wanted to talk studio for a little bit nerdy, a little bit, but because I love it. I love seeing settings like Teddy Swims when he did the studio thing with the dude playing piano. That was amazing, bro. We got to get him back on the channel. I love the guys that have the raw audio from the studio sessions. I love it. And I don't know if this was off the floor. This could just be reshot, but like I know it was recorded in this room, and I'm down with that. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Number one, this song is just amazing as a whole. It's an incredibly sad song.
Yeah.
But also like kind of hopeful in a way. Like the guy's like, dude, I was this close to just being dead and being home and out of my suffering, which I mean, in one sort of way is nice. Like there's a lot of people who suffer a lot in life, and when they finally pass away, it's almost a relief. Like at least they don't hurt anymore.
How many times have you heard that? At least they're not suffering anymore. At least they're not in pain anymore. It's like they don't have to be in that body anymore, which was going through all that shit.
And I mean, there's a sentiment to be had there for sure. And then the other half of the song is the compassion of the passerby that was like, man, like, fuck, dude, this guy's just going through it. Like. And then this guy to tell his experience of what's going on, maybe from his past that he's reliving as, his life flashes before his eyes, is just it's an incredibly written song. Like Craig Morgan nailed it when he wrote this.
It's a very
years ago. I mean,
the way he tells it and the wording in the song and like the descriptions that he makes, like talking about his newspaper wrapped feet and like this guy obviously doesn't have any money. He's been down in the dumps for quite some time.
Outside,
and the dude's walking around with newspaper shoes, and it's like, it paints a very vivid picture for sure. Yeah. And I think that helps sell the song and helps the emotion big time.
It does.
5 out of 5 for
excellent songwriting.
Yeah, dude.
Like excellent. I mean,
and this song's old. Craig Morgan's had this song for decades, hasn't he?
I think I remember listening to this when I was like 7.
So decades he's had this song. So and still killing it. Still putting the same passion into it, singing it for the 500 millionth time. Yeah. So good for him, man. Good for him.
And good for Jelly Roll, man.
Hell yeah.
I know we're rambling here, but like let me put this into perspective for a second. Jelly Roll gets to sing a song that changed his life with one of his heroes that wrote the song.
Probably in the studio where that song was originally recorded. It might be. I don't actually know, but maybe it was.
Man, Jelly Roll had him a good day.
Bro, got to do a prayer with him and hang out in the fucking control room with him and do the whole damn thing,
sing
dude.
with the man. Like,
super dope.
Man,
super dope.
Travis Barker. Hey, Matt. Let me hit you up
Don't even start, dude. Don't even start.
For a little bit of drum, we could do some drumming shit
We'll do a
together,
trade-off on one of these songs or whatever.
Huh?
I got to start practicing.
Oh, man. No, good for Jelly Roll. Good for Craig Morgan. I love both these guys. They're great musicians. They both put a lot into their songwriting, and it shows. That's why they're both legendary. Yeah, I can't wait to see how his EP does. Apparently, it dropped a couple days. Well, I guess it'd be a week ago for you guys, but in our time, it dropped like 2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
So I'm excited to listen through it, see who else is on it. I hear Lainey Wilson's going to be on there, Luke Combs, there's a couple of others. I'm excited to see if they have the same impact that this did with Jelly Roll.
Yeah, for sure.
I will say, this is the only video I've seen so far.
No.
Like, I wonder if this is just the one that Craig Morgan, like he said, Jelly Roll, nobody's moved me like Jelly Roll
I was going to say, if it's a
so
big,
I feel like he's got a special place.
if it's as big an influence to Jelly Roll as like the Travis Barker thing would be to me, I would be pretty hot on getting this done as soon as possible. You know, so I'm sure Jelly Roll probably was not wasting his time to get in there and make this happen. So,
well, if you guys enjoyed today's episode as much as we did, be sure to leave a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, click the bell, become part of the notification gang. And if you guys are looking to help out with a toy drive or whatever this Christmas, Jelly Roll is doing a massive toy drive on behalf of his daughter. It's something his daughter wanted to do, and he recounts when he got out of prison, he went to a toy drive to get something for his daughter, and he wasn't even allowed to see his daughter because of the situation.
Yeah.
And he goes, I remember just holding on to this doll and like crying because it's something I wanted to give her, but I couldn't. And there's so many parents out there that want to give their children things for Christmas and just can't. So if you guys want to help out in that way, go to Jelly Roll's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. He has a link to that toy drive and help out however you can. So
Christmas stuff coming in like a week and a half.
Be
ready for it.
We'll see y'all next time. Bow.
I don't think we're doing Christmas next week, are we? We're doing it the following week, right? Because let's see. Let me stop this.
Let's look at a fucking